Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird, back to do another rapid fire review for you guys. Part of the reason why this one's going to be rapid fire is, frankly guys, even though I watched this movie just about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I don't even remember it that well. It sat with me that little. I did rewatch the trailer and it sparked and I was like, oh yeah, then that. So I'm going to go ahead and go through this one, guys. I'm going to be talking about Leatherface, the long-awaited prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And I say long-awaited not because the fans wanted it, but because it has been long coming. We've known about this movie for a couple of years now. It's just gotten delayed and delayed and delayed. And we never really knew why. Could have been because of poor story, bad production value, could have been any number of things. But finally the movie dropped, and I finally got around to watching it, and I actually bought this movie, and I'm a little bit bummed that I did, because, man, I'm disappointed. I hope there's not a repeat, because I bought the new Hellraiser, and I'm going to watch and review that one too, but we'll see. So, Leatherface, let's go through it. This movie, overall, my thoughts were, it was a big disappointment. I didn't care. I didn't think it fit the Leatherface franchise outside of a couple of key features. But largely, this was a huge disappointment for me. Nowhere near a worthy entry into the series. The movie is about, of course, the origin of Leatherface, or at least that's what it's supposed to be about. And I guess it is, but it's just so poorly executed, story-wise, that I didn't care, and I would much rather we just ignore this and do a whole new Leatherface origin somewhere, way down the line, because it can be so much better than this. I mean, basically at the beginning of the movie, we see the crazy family, the Sawyer family, I believe, and they are, this kid is having his birthday, his 7th birthday, and they're giving him a chainsaw and holding it up to a victim and stuff like that, and making him do his first kill kind of thing, if I recall correctly. But the police break in and stop the situation, and they basically take the kid away from the family, and he's put into a mental asylum for 11 years or something like that. And that whole time he's away from the Sawyer family, being tended to by, whoever this asylum, staff is. And so he's, the dumb thing about the movie is he's actually more raised by the hospital staff than he is by his own family, time-wise, 11 years to 7 years. So that's a huge problem for me right off the bat, story-wise. But eventually the kid gets out, and he gets out with another couple of people from the mental asylum. And the thing is, we don't know which of these kids, because of the time jump, we don't know which of these kids that we've been introduced to in the mental asylum is that little kid. So the whole movie is basically a guessing game as to which of these crazy people are going to end up being Leatherface and the kid from the family, who's the family mother is basically trying to track him down the entire time, trying to get him back from the mental institution. And that's how we find out that they've changed his name, so he doesn't even know that he's a Sawyer and all this stuff. So it's a little bit silly. And once they actually get out of the mental asylum, it doesn't get much better. It's a lot of typical stuff. There's one overly crazy guy. There's one guy from the asylum that's trying to not be bad, and then there's a bigger guy that's sort of just the big dumb protector kind of thing, but who also doesn't know his own strength. So and he's got the build of older Leatherface, because older Leatherface is a bigger guy, and so we don't know which it's going to be. And it plays out with the sheriff trying to track them down, being played by Stephen Dorff. And, the whole movie, it's just kind of blah to me. It's very uninteresting. There's, again, outside of the very beginning and the very ending, there's very little to do with the actual Sawyerness of it all. And that was a big disappointment to me. When we're doing the origin of Leatherface, you have to give me, the origin of Leatherface and his family and stuff like that. That's the interesting stuff. Don't take him away from all that. That's the basis of the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. parts 1, 2, 3, 4, every time they reboot it, whenever someone rips off Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it's always the crazy family thing. So to take out the crazy family thing just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, it's there a little bit, like I said, at the beginning and at the end, but that's it. It's such a bummer. So let's move on to the acting then. The acting was okay. I mean, again, there was a crazy guy, a crazy girl that loves the crazy guy that is super over-sexualized. There's the big dumb animal guy. There's the nice guy. It's all tropes that we've seen before. Nothing unique. Nothing wholly Texas Chainsaw. So they're playing archetypes. And so it wasn't that, you know, I guess they're passable. They're all perfectly fine. I thought they were, you know, the craziest one, the craziest guy was pretty good. But the crazy girl is just doing her best, you know, Mrs. Zombie impersonation. I forgot what her actual name is. Sherry Moon Zombie. Yeah, she was just doing her best Sherry Moon Zombie, and I like Sherry Moon Zombie better, so what can I say? She was just kind of eh. And the whole story was just so meh that I didn't care enough to even notice the acting, although I do continue to like Stephen Dorff. He was also in Jackals, which I reviewed recently on the channel. I don't know if it's gone up yet or not at this point, but yeah, I enjoyed Stephen Dorff. So the acting was okay. It was just serviceable, in my opinion, more than really, really good. The effects. Let's get into the effects, because this is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, so there's bound to be tons of gore, right? Wrong. No, that's absolutely not the case in this. There is lots of gunshots for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. Great. I mean, awesome, yeah. And it's a lot of off-camera gunshots with just blood spraying up, which we saw in the trailer anyway, the Red Band trailer. And then there's a little bit of chainsaw action towards the end, but nothing like it's so lacking for a Texas Chainsaw origin movie. It's such a bummer, you guys. Like, if you haven't seen it, I really don't recommend that you do. It's largely a waste of time. I don't even have that much more to say about it. This isn't going to be one of my longer reviews. I mean, once we get to the reveal of who Leatherface is, you might be asking, is that at least satisfying? Not really. No, not really. You know, there is one thing that happens, because I had my guess, just based on, again, certain physical attributes. I had my guess, and you know, I won't tell you if I was right or wrong, but I will say there was a moment that really surprised me in the movie. So I just, man, I'm just bummed that this movie wasn't better than it was. The music was just serviceable. Again, I don't remember any of it very particularly, and if the music doesn't stand out to me, then I can't particularly laud its capabilities. You know, I'm not. Anyway, so that's, I think, where I'm gonna draw a line in the sand on Leatherface, you guys. I'm done talking about this one. I don't really enjoy talking about movies that I didn't enjoy, especially when they're big disappointments from a really large franchise that I generally enjoy. I know a lot of people have problems with the Texas Chainsaws we got before this one. For whatever reason, they don't like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or Texas Chainsaw, I think. It was Texas Chainsaw the beginning, and then Texas Chainsaw 3D. I liked all of them. I really did. I especially liked 3D because of the giant meat grinder at the end. I thought that was awesome. Plus, that was our introduction to Alexandra Daddario. So, or is it Andrea? Whatever. I think it's Alexandra. But yeah. So this was nowhere near as good as those. And if you guys didn't like those, then you're definitely not going to like this. Or, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you'll feel like this was more in line with the first one. But I really wholeheartedly disagree with that. So, that's where I'm going to leave it, you guys. Thanks very much for joining me on my review of the Texas Chainsaw origin story, Leatherface. Let me know in the comments down below if you actually liked this movie, or if you plan to see it still, or if you're just going to bypass it now. I'd be interested to hear your opinions, but until next time, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.